like it means nothing.
Today I will share with you a story from a pen test I did, where during this test we discovered a way to bypass a security solution on Android phone, security solution from VMware. I'm Bartek, and I work with pen testing at Defendable in Norway. I started my career with bug bounty, mostly during university. And then I got my first job as pen tester in Kraków, Poland. I'm from Poland. In 2017, moved to Norway. I worked briefly at Deloitte, doing also security testing. But then I moved to Defendable, where I work since. And I mostly do web and mobile application testing. Little bit of background. So it was an internal test for a customer, but as part of the scope, the customer developed a solution for nurses that were working in the field, attending to patients that could not visit the hospital. So in order to make the work efficient, they were provided with mobile application where they could make prescriptions for the patients, put their medical data in the system. And to secure that solution, the employer developed, he basically provided them with Samsung Xcover phone with VMware Workspace ONE software to lock down the phone, so they would be able only to use specific work applications. They were also supposed to be able to make phone calls and connect to the car via Bluetooth, but for example, Bluetooth file transfer was supposed to be disabled or not allowed. And the goal of the test was not testing the VMware software, but the mobile application, mobile API. But since on day one we were handed the phone fully set up, we just decided to see if there is anything we can do with it. The phone was Samsung Galaxy Xcover. So this is the Galaxy device with rubber cover, designed to be used like in the field, in retail, in construction. In Oslo, for example, the public transport controllers, ticket controllers, they are using Xcover to scan the tickets, because this phone can also be paired with external attachments to be able to scan in a more efficient way. And software-wise, it is equipped with Samsung security features like Samsung Knox. Samsung Knox is a, let's call it, set of security solutions from Samsung in private use. You can use it to deploy separate workspace, separate partition on your phone where you can store your mobile applications, your banking applications, so they are not seen by other applications and so on. In enterprise, it can be used to deploy work profile to manage devices. So Galaxy Xcover has all those features. The software, Workspace ONE, is a multi-platform solution, so not only for Android, it's also for iOS, MacBooks, PCs. But on Android, it has the widest range of configuration possibilities. So it can be, on Android, it's going to be deployed with, like, if there is a bring your own device policy, it will just deploy to work profile and just manage this work profile partition on the phone. Or it can be also used in fully managed mode, even changing the default phone UI to custom Workspace Launcher UI, as on the left side of the slide. So you won't see your normal home screen, but just set applications that are allowed by employer. And within one administrator console of Workspace ONE, you can manage security features both by VMware, from VMware, and also it has access to Knox API, so you can toggle switches for both restrictions. So that was our use case. So we have Xcover phone with Workspace ONE in fully managed mode. So that was after unlocking the screen, that was our UI. We did not have access to Samsung Home UI. So this custom launcher, access only to few apps, Notification menu was also custom. No access to Wi-Fi, Bluetooth file transfer, no access to phone settings, just this set of apps. And those restrictions were implemented both by VMware software, but also were possible by Knox policies. For example, Wi-Fi was disabled by Knox. So how does it work? Like why we just could see in this screen? Android has special permission called appear on top, which is actually pretty controversial one because it's used widely by Android malware in so-called overlay attacks. So there are discussions within the Android community about getting rid or restricting that permission. But in that case, this permission allowed this custom launcher UI to be displayed all the time over the screen, over everything on the screen. So even if we manage to open some other application, it will be open underneath, and we would have no way to interact with it. And before we go to exploitation, like a brief word about Android, because it is highly customizable platform, as you probably know. You can, as user, change how icons look like or install unknown apps. And phone vendors are using it as well. So Samsung phone looks way different than Google phone, a Google Pixel. And vendors are implementing their own software, their own skins. And the software that was very helpful in exploiting VMware here was Edge Panels application. You can swipe from the right side of the screen on Galaxy phones, and it will bring up this quick menu where you can have some quick tools or some application shortcuts. It was implemented when Samsung started doing this Edge screens, Samsung Galaxy Edge curved screens. So you could swipe from the Edge curve, but it stayed, and it's now present in every Galaxy device. It was supposed to be disabled, and there was no access to it when we were using the phone, but we found a way. After booting the phone, that was what we seen, that device is owned and controlled by customer, so just black screen, and two options on the bottom, emergency call and accept. So after accept, we'll be bring to this custom UI. I noticed immediately after booting up the phone, if I was clicking accept, that not everything was ready on the phone side yet. So I could still see Android is starting up message, and then it would get overlaid by this black screen, device is owned and controlled. So that gave me an idea that maybe not everything on the software side is ready yet. Maybe not all security policies, maybe VMware launcher is not running yet, maybe not all security policies are applied yet. So I just thought what will happen if I open as many applications during that booting up process as possible to maybe slow down execution of the security policies, especially this appear on top, just to see what happens. So I thought about following, like I can tap this emergency call, it will open phone app, maybe I can type some number, I can maybe add something to contacts, that's two applications open. Double-clicking the power button on Android phones brings up the camera. On Samsung phones, if we hold the power button to bring up the shutdown menu, we can actually remap this double-clicking action to open another application. So maybe we can remap it to open file application, from that application open another application, and so on. So that was my initial idea, just to see what happens. There was the problem that whatever I was doing while the software was booting up, within 1-2 seconds, this black screen device is owned and monitor will reappear. So I needed to memorize where the buttons are and very quickly type or like click on things. Good thing was remapping, the double-clicking action was saved, because after 10-15 seconds of doing this, everything on the VMware on the Android side on VMware software would be ready. Appear on top permission will be executed. So whatever I would do, I'll be just brought back to the this default VMware UI screen. So after that, I need to reboot the phone, start again. So it took multiple tries, but I noticed something interesting when I was doing that. And this is maybe not the best quality video, but I'm trying to remap the button. Android is starting up. Screen will get overlaid soon. Again, trying to open files application. I was doing that because I noticed sometimes when I was opening random applications during that process that I could see the edge panel icon on the side of the screen. And from there, I could swipe and open edge panels. And surprisingly, as long as I had edge panels open, I noticed that VMware is kind of on pause. It is not booting anymore. Or if I would close the edge panels, it will bring back VMware software, like booting process. But as long as I had it open, I could just leave the phone like this and nothing would happen. And I suspect maybe this is because edge panels is installed as system application, since it's implemented by Samsung, and VMware is just normal application, so edge panels takes priority. But that's just my guess. More interesting thing was that with edge panels, I got back the functionality of application switcher button. So I could see all the apps from the bar down on the screen. I could just utilize it to see all the application open. I could see that the launcher is open in the background, and I could just simply kill it. It will try to start again, but I just got myself this additional 10-15 seconds to do something more. And now with edge panels, I had access, because edge panels you can set up the shortcuts to the applications. So in reality, I had access to all applications. So my thinking process was, okay, I have access to settings. I can get additional 10 seconds. So I just killed launcher, went to settings, and I disabled this special permission appear on top for the launcher. So now, even if the launcher would boot up, it would never overlay the screen again. I would have always access to edge panels. And from edge panels, I can access any application. So here is me just looking for this VMware software and disabling that permission. And this is a snippet from Android logs that's confirming that actually launcher was getting destroyed, the activity, before starting again. So I will tell how I extracted those logs in a bit. But as you remember, VMware software is also using Samsung Knox API. And even though I bypassed this main launcher UI restrictions, the Knox restrictions were still enforced. So I had no access to Wi-Fi. I could not create mobile hotspots, no ADB connection, no developer settings. That was all disabled by Knox policies. And no, for example, USB file transfer. And I wanted to add an account, a Google account, to maybe download some applications that will help me do something more. But adding accounts by Google was disabled by Knox. But then I remember that there is Galaxy Store that no one is ever using here. And I could add Samsung accounts, surprisingly, to the phone. So I just created some dummy account, and I could download any application from Galaxy Store. And in theory, I could apply for developer account, add my application there, and download it as well. So I had access to all files on the phone. And what I also noticed, that the Bluetooth restrictions, when the launcher was killed, were disabled. So I could actually extract those files via Bluetooth to my PC. So what I did, you saw the snippet from the logs. I obtained the logs. There is a special code on Samsung phones in the phone application. You can create dump state that will dump all the logs from the phone, save it to zip, and then I could extract it via Bluetooth to my PC. That was useful for VMware. And finally, as you remember, the goal of the test was not to test the VMware software, but mobile endpoint, and only phone had access to that mobile endpoint. So I downloaded some shell application to do some reconnaissance towards later stage of the test, which was actually mobile application test. So we had to stop there, unfortunately, because it was a full internal pen test, so we had other things to do, but I reported this issue to VMware. I provided all those logs from dump state, steps to replicate the issue. They were actually able to replicate it and work with both Google and Samsung to fix it. It took them more than 6 months, but finally they released a new version, supposedly fixed and assigned CVE, but they did not want to share the fix with me. So if anyone will have access to that application, I will be happy to retest it. From release notes, I can speculate that those two release notes are relevant. So the edge panels on Samsung phones can now be disabled. It was disabled, but maybe now it's disabled by Knox policies, not on the VMware software level. And Blog Launcher until tunnel is ready. I suspect this prevents us, when we see that black screen, device is owned and controlled, it prevents us from clicking those accept or emergency call button until everything on the software side is ready and all security policies are enforced. So just to summarize, when we are testing mobile applications or mobile devices, it's good to remember that different vendors are implementing different software, different solutions, and maybe sometimes we can leverage those solutions, this software, to achieve something more. So it's nice to have some more context when you are testing specific applications, and maybe some of those solutions, softwares implemented by vendors are not made with security in mind. On the other hand, built-in mechanisms like Knox, this is much harder to bypass, and I did some research in it, which I'm happy to share after this talk, but it requires much deeper dive. And I know emulators are way better than years ago, but I still prefer testing on physical devices because it gives us this additional context of using the app as intended, and we can utilize gestures or hard-on buttons in a better way, I think, than when using emulators. So if someone is testing mobile applications, I recommend testing it on physical devices. Yes, so this was a short story from the pen test. Thank you very much.